Hello, everybody, and welcome back to MJ Games. I am Michael, and today I have a special guest with me, TeeJayPuffs92. TJ, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing well, thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and I appreciate you joining me on this spotlight. Because I had you on before, I had you and Tommy P as we looked at the collab park that you guys worked on. But today we're looking at Lodge Park, which is created by Tom Dave Poynton. And the description says, "Welcome to Lodge Park. This former country estate still plays host to the grand hunting lodge overlooking a lake, but surrounding is now a whole lot of thrills. Park fully lit, so view both at day and night." Um, so that's the description for the park. And TJ, do you have any initial thoughts before we kind of get the tour started about kind of what you're seeing so far? Just kind of the overview.
It kind of gives me very American theme park, like Six
Mm-hmm.
Flags, with like the little pond in the middle and
For
the
sure.
coasters just surround it. And I love that you can kind of see all the coasters from the parking lot,
Yeah, that's a good
which
point.
is really cool.
I think the wow, I can't speak right now. The line of sight in this park, the sight lines are really cool. Like if you're down here at guest view, just
Hmm.
kind of um, seeing that teal coaster there, which is just colored beautifully, and then that RMC in the background, which gives me Outlaw Run style vibes with that first hill. And then this is a nice coaster kind of here to have at the front. Um,
Hmm.
initially we have this car park, and what are your thoughts of this parking lot and what the creator did here?
I think what they've done uh, with this is actually really, really clever. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
you noticed where the guests are coming from,
Mm-hmm.
but when I had a little peek earlier, it took me 5 minutes to figure out where the heck the guests were going. And I don't know how he managed to terrain over the pathing this way, but it's phenomenal, mind
Yeah,
blowing.
I honestly didn't recognize that they were coming from these cars at first. Like I just figured they were coming from maybe through there. But I know
Hmm.
exactly what they did because I saw somebody. I think it was like a couple years ago on YouTube, and they only did a couple episodes on their park, which I'm a little bummed at because it was really good. But what they actually did is this actually isn't terrain. The parking lot they
Oh,
made, instead of
okay.
using it as terrain, is using the cement pieces, which is maybe why, or the firehouse roof, which is why you can kind of see some of those lines. Um, but
Okay.
it's like you said, I mean, that is extremely, extremely clever. Like that is one of the coolest entrances I've
Hmm.
seen to a theme park. Let's get the yeah, let's changing the time so we don't have to worry about shifting the night while we're looking at the daytime and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's a very good job picking up on that because honestly, I just didn't even recognize that. um,
I thought it was wild.
yeah, and I mean, it's a good sized parking lot too. It's not overdoing it. I kind of tend to overdo it with the parking lot, but I think this is well done. I like the kind of
Yeah.
planters in the middle, just kind of adding that kind of scenic look to it. So very well
Hmm.
done. Now let's see. Now one thing, like I did talk about, that I think he or the creator could have done is, use the terrain paint tool. But if you're using kind of the firehouse roof pieces to kind of hide that guest entryway there, you kind of have to do it for the rest of the parking lot. So that's not too big of an issue. And I like the signs too. It's something I kind of forget is having all these extra little signs up that kind of let guests know where to go. And oh, that's a great
Hmm.
look of that first coaster. And a little warehouse. Maybe the only thing I'd suggest here, and I think you probably agree with me on this one, is usually in theme parks, if you see like a transfer track type warehouse slash area, it'll kind of be fenced off with something more than this chain link fence. It would have like a wooden fence or something so that guests can't necessarily see through the fence to kind of see what maintenance
Yeah.
workers are doing. Um, but that's my only suggestion there. Is absolutely love that building and what the creator did with that.
Yeah, and they could just do wood like fencing on that one side. They wouldn't have to do
Right.
all of it
Yeah, you
would.
could keep this chain link
Yeah,
fence the
like
same
the
here.
yeah, and I would have just made that part there probably a wood
Yeah.
fence.
Yeah, it's a good call. But I love that building. And so, what are your thoughts of the entrance here?
I love this Planko themed entrance here with all like the classic pieces that came with the game.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah, I
don't
was
see a
wondering
lot of it. Like mostly when you see it, you see like the in-game blueprints, but it looks like they created this themselves, and I think they did a really good job.
for sure, especially with like the extra supports here. So it's like the architecture of it's pretty well done. And I'm normally not for this type of theming, like this kind of Planko style that they kind of have come with the game, like that building type right there. But with what they did for the entrance, I think it looks really good. And it looks like kind of like you said, it looks kind
Hmm.
of like a Cedar Fair style park where it's like not overly done, but it's like just enough to like look nice. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't mean that to sound bad if it did, but
Hmm.
it's not overdoing it with something like extravagant. It's taking kind of the concept that's given to us in the base game and just kind of building off it, if that makes sense.
Right, and something as simple as just putting those glass pieces
Mm-hmm.
down like that, I think that like really makes it pop. I really love that.
Yeah, I
And
do
the
like the blue
line you
coloring.
get when you walk in.
Oh yeah. See, right when you walk in, I mean, you get that RMC, that teal coaster over there, which I know you said you were excited to look at that one, and then this big building. I wonder what this is. Oh, is there? Trying to figure out which way to go now to get started. Looks like okay, so it looks like this first coaster is kind of behind the buildings here. So it's called Avalanche. That's maybe one thing from a design standpoint is it's kind of tucked away back here, right? Like normally with coasters, like they're destination points, but it's kind of like you have multiple avenues to get there. And so it's kind of, I think guests can easily miss that, like if this was a real theme park, that's kind of the direction they're supposed to go to get to the coaster, if that makes sense.
I
Uh,
think that's a restaurant in the middle
yeah, right
between
here.
the coaster. Yeah, I my only suggestion is I would have kind of opened that up
Mm-hmm.
and tucked like the restaurant to the right or left,
Kind
and
of have
like
that as a
so guests could
walkway.
walk through there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would give a nice visual look too. Gosh, I love those chair swings. I think they're just such a beautiful ride in the game. I feel like every park should have one of those
Hmm.
because it just looks really good. But yeah, I think
Exactly.
I love this little like it's minimal theming, but they did really well here with this queue line. I mean, maybe one thing, and I know Maddie's
Hmm.
big on this too, is using terrain paint. Just something as simple as taking. Let's see what terrain paints they have. You got rocks. So it's called avalanche. You could even do like this dead grass a little bit, right? And let's see, turn this down. I like to turn it down to 10%. I'm sure you're kind of close to that
Hmm.
too. Oh, hold on. Let's get out of that camera. So,
All
even something,
range. Yeah.
yeah, something as simple as this, it kind of just varies it up just a little bit, right? To where it's not that really green kind of look that you normally see. Um, but yeah, what are
Yeah.
your thoughts initially as we kind of look around this area before we go on the coaster?
I really like the queue. I like the lights and the poles they did across there. Um, and like I'll second the in on the terrain paint a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it does help a little bit. I forget about doing it too. Sometimes it's the last minute thought,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I do love all the details in this station, like the baggage, the little carts that they put, and then
Mm-hmm.
the little flags and the beams. It's really well done.
Yeah, and it looks like
Minimalistic, but still detailed.
for sure. And sorry for everybody who's watching who maybe can't really hear the background music because when we do PS share or share play on PlayStation, it doesn't really pick up the in-game audio well. So sorry about that for these speakers. But I agree with everything you said. This is an amazing station. Like it's so detailed for how kind of small it is too, if that makes sense. And then I also like how
Hmm.
you've got part of the queue is actually inside the building. Like I always love it when you have that. Um, cool
Yeah, I
touch.
love that.
Only
And the
thing
lighting
that's
is real
oh,
subtle.
oh yeah, for sure. Especially you got
Sorry,
some
go ahead.
areas. No, you're good. You got some areas that aren't lit up as much, which is realistic, right? Only thing I was gonna
Mhm.
say is I don't know who takes bags like this to a theme park. Those trash bags. So I mean, could you imagine seeing
I
somebody walk around
I
a
would
theme
have.
park carrying one of those?
I mean, I have seen it. Not gonna lie. I probably would have just changed the colors of the trash bags
Yeah.
other than black, maybe. But I
Hmm.
mean, I mean, that's still a good touch. I never thought to do that.
Yeah. One last thing. Love the lighting on the lift hill. I think that's a really good touch. So let's look at the stats, and then we'll take a ride on the coaster. And I don't know about you, how you are. I mean, obviously, I like trying to get in all green, but like sometimes the stats on Planko get kind of weird. So I focus on
Hmm.
realism with a coaster, and G forces look good. Um, so what about you when you make coasters? Are you kind of do you try to get this? I mean, everybody tries to get the stats all green, but what's your kind of main focus when you're looking at the stats of a coaster?
I do look at the G forces, but
Yeah.
I do try to get it all green as well. Um, and I also try to have a lot of airtime,
Mm-hmm. For
but
sure.
mainly those three things. Like at least when like I'm looking at the stats, um, I want it to be. I'm obsessed with getting it all green. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, I can't
So
I
if
can't
it's
blame
like
you
a
for that
little
for sure.
over, yeah, if it's a little over the G forces, I don't touch it. But like if I could manage to get it in the G forces and keep it green, I try to do that.
Yeah. Hey, I totally understand that as well. All right, so let's go ahead and take a ride on the coaster. Well, that was Avalanche, which what type of coaster was this? I didn't even honestly realize what type of coaster that was.
I
It was launched
I think it's a
vector.
launch vector.
And
Yeah.
is that supposed to model the kind of Intamin style in real life? Do you know? Because sometimes some of these models, I'm trying to always try to figure out like who's the manufacturer, or is that I can't remember to be honest. But I definitely like that coaster. I think it was I like the kind of layout. Like
Hmm.
it's a good ride to kind of ease you into the park, right? No inversions. There are a couple pretty quick turns. I thought it was pretty smooth overall. That first hill definitely gives me some Maverick type vibes with the kind of look of it. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, so what are your thoughts?
I really liked it. It's a really good layout, like you said. I think there are tiny few spots that could be smoothed
Mm-hmm.
a little more. It is a little like it's not bad, but it's a little odd not to use the launch on a launch coaster. I probably
Right.
would have maybe added a small little launch section like at the top of the hill, but I mean it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Um, but overall, I liked it. It is I will say it's a little odd that the car is red. Being an avalanche, I figured it'd be blue, but I mean I still overall really enjoyed the coaster.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even. Sometimes I totally forget about coloring the cars and stuff. Like there's so many little things that go into it, right? But yeah, I think you're right about the lift hill, especially with this style because you can launch it up the lift hill. And since this definitely has the look of like getting some inspiration from Maverick, which the first drop and then the turn, could have launched it up that hill. You just can't do it at a 33-degree incline. You got to do it at like I think it's like 20 degrees or something, 22 degrees. But yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
I do think it's a good little coaster to get started with in the park. And I love this maintenance building. This is
And
really well done.
yeah,
Oh, and
it
transfer
had some
track.
really good night lighting as well.
Oh, absolutely, it did.
Yeah, I like the transfer track too.
Yeah, I feel like in
If anything, Sorry, if anything around the coaster, probably would have added a little more rocks,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be ice or snow or like the alpine rocks. I just would have probably put a few more,
Yeah.
but that's just me. I kind of overdo foliage sometimes, so
No, I agree with you on that. I think the fact that there's only like three or four of these avalanche type rocks kind of looks a little bit out of place. So even though it's called like or icy rocks, so even though it's called avalanche, you still could have done alpine. Like this part was wooded a lot, which was nice. But you could have
mhm.
done. I agree with you on that. Definitely a little more rocks. But overall, I think it's a great ride. I wish more people would do transfer
Yeah.
tracks and stuff on console because it's really fun to see how everybody does it differently. And this looks nice. So looks really good. Maybe
I
one thing you could
I
even do is
always
put a
do
little
them.
tire. What's up?
I think I always do them now since watching your tutorial.
Oh, I appreciate that,
I
man.
try to, yeah.
I actually put another tutorial up the other day. I don't know if that's the one you're talking about, but um, I recorded that late at night. So
Oh, it
looking
was.
back on it, I'm like, oh my gosh, my voice sounds weird. But um,
I think it was your earlier ones.
okay, yeah, I think Maddie had mentioned to me that people had reached out to him about transfer tracks, and my video was like an hour long, so it's kind of like a longer one. And so I said, yeah, I'll record a shorter one. So I did a 15-minute video where I just kind of briefly kind of showed just a basic transfer track without like fully decorating it. And then the next 15 minutes, I kind of
Hmm.
showed all the different transfer tracks that I made in my parks just to kind of show how each one's different and unique to the individual ride. Um, but yeah, man, they're fun to do. All that decorating and stuff, trying to make it realistic. But I love this chair swing. This is just beautiful, and with the foliage around and
Yeah, I love a
stuff.
good chair swing.
Hmm Have you ever ridden one of those
And I
ones
really
that's
like that eating area that was
where
to
was
the right.
right here? Oh, you're talking about back here. Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right there.
that's really well done. Now, one thing I've noticed kind of already that is throughout the park is I would maybe now I know this creator's on a PS4, so they've kind of hit the limit. But one thing they could do is kind of because they did add some flooring here, but they could add some like borders for to kind of mark off where the grass is and stuff. Just adding some curbs and stuff. Um, those are like the
Hmm.
details that take a lot of time to do, but I think they kind of add extra realistic look to it and stuff like that. But this is awesome right here. Wow, this looks really
Yeah, I
cool.
really like this area. This under, like, oh yeah, I didn't notice that one
This one over here,
before.
yeah. Man, this is really cool. These are some of the coolest eating areas I've seen.
Ooh.
Um, did you notice something? Let's see.
Ooh.
Man, that's cool. Um, anything else on here
Your
before
video
we?
froze, so I don't know if.
Oh, my video froze. My bad. Is it still frozen?
No, you're good. No.
Okay. Yeah, that's one thing. It's weird with share play how it's like it doesn't sometimes it doesn't like it obviously doesn't show up in 1080p when you're sharing it, but I guess it's all about the internet connection and stuff. Um, but
Hmm.
yeah, just nice. We got a
That is.
is that a bratwurst place or is this an actual ride? Oh, it looks
It's
like this
a.
is
It's a ride.
okay. Well, that's a cool kind of entrance. Okay, so it's an actual factory tour, is what they're saying. This is cool.
Yeah, I thought this was really neat.
Mm-hmm. I have no idea what kind of ride this even is. Oh, then you're like overlooking the factory. Oh, that's a cool touch. Um, that's
Hmm.
really cool. So this is what the big building was. I was kind of wondering about that. And they really gotta go to the restroom. I always feel for people when I see that. Oh, this is a dark ride. Okay, so let's turn it to nighttime, and we'll just keep the recording on while we go on this.
This
So
queue and station is really good.
yeah, it looks awesome. I mean, this is just
They
a
even blocked off the the operator there.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll make sure and get a good look at that when we get back. Oh, the operator booth right there. Oh, I didn't even notice that. Wow, look at that. And then
Yeah.
I wonder what they use for those little touches of whatever that. You see, what I'm saying that little
On the
design kind of
wall.
by the door, yeah, on the wall that they have everywhere.
It's the it's icing.
Okay, it's a cool touch.
Yeah, it's under the festive. Yeah, I think the festive stuff.
Are you a brats person? Or are you more hot dog or neither?
I'll eat both.
Yeah, yeah. I'm more hot dogs, but if it's a good brat, definitely.
I love this. This is so neat, and I don't really know what to say because I mean it's so cool. It's such a neat
Yeah.
idea.
Oh, for sure. And it's realistic too because I feel like, in video games sometimes like, we go so all out with dark rides where in real life when you ride a dark ride like not necessarily every room's gonna be sectioned off. Like you're still gonna have the ceiling that you gotta have to account for. Oh, and those big meatballs. But
Hmm.
it's a really cool, clever design and it's done in such a realistic way. Um, so this is just awesome. Oh, big hot dog or brat. Yeah, that is cool. Oops. Yeah, and you talked about this station, that operator's booth, and you've even got the extra computers kind of added in. Although it's like, I wish Planko would have given us something different. Like, let's be realistic. If Planko can put this on every single, this little instructional thing with this operator booth, why could they not have given us those extra pieces for that realism stuff? But
Right.
hey, we can't have
I like that
everything.
he has green hair.
Yep.
I know it changes sometimes, but like I think it's kind of cute that it's green.
Absolutely. Fits the ride, right? So,
Hmm.
wow, that is really well done. And here's another thing too that I know Nerd Chacho's talked about it in his videos is like the roofs of these don't have to be perfect, right? Because when you're looking at a theme park,
Right.
we're looking at it from the guest view, and so like I don't know if you've ever done this before, but like if you look at like Disney and like you look at which this area is lit up really nice, which is awesome. But if you look at Animal Kingdom, Animal Kingdom's got that huge Avatar area, right, with that huge building. If
Uh-huh.
you actually look at on Google Maps, it's only about a third of the entire building that's actually decorated. The other two thirds are
Yeah.
just because it's like guests never see that side. So why would you spend the money on that if guests never see it, right? Um,
Yeah, they do a lot of stuff backstage because I used to work down at Hollywood Studios for a little bit.
oh, you did?
So,
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
and there's a lot of, yeah, like I was there when they were like redoing Fantasyland. So you only see like front half of like, what was it, Mickey's new area or something. It's been a while since I've been down there, but
Yeah.
I remember work behind. I worked at Pinocchio's for a little bit too at Magic Kingdom,
Oh, okay.
and like the whole front half was all decorated, but none of the back areas were.
Yeah, for sure. This
This
is
is
a
good to look at night.
okay.
You should check this out at night. Yeah, it gives you more of the seance vibe.
Yeah, hence the name, right?
Yeah,
Wow, this
yeah.
is this is well done. Let me get the HUD off the screen. Maybe we should just look at the rest of this park at nighttime. Looks like this is definitely a park Jasmine would appreciate with how much effort the creator put into lighting everything up. So that's really cool.
Hmm.
And then, yeah. And I like too the use of trees here where you really feel kind of secluded and like you're separate from the park.
Hmm.
All
A
right.
good variation of different trees too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like repetitive.
Yeah, which is annoying to do sometimes, but it's definitely worth it. So now we've got what is that? That's the next coaster, right?
Yeah, this one looks good at night too.
Okay. So, oh,
That's
that's a
the
hat's
exit.
fantastic. That's the exit. That's cool having that exit that way. Man, these entrance entranceways and signs. Like, I gotta step my game up. This is impressive. I think there
Like
should
the
be
only
a.
thing they'd have to Sorry, yeah, the only thing they'd have to work on next is custom signs, which, I mean, can be a pain in the butt to do, but
Yeah.
they're worth it. But what they've got going, I mean, I love all this.
So
The vibe.
you know what this reminds me of? Like, it's not the exact same, but like, you've been to Kings Island. Does this kind of how this coaster is kind of in the ground a little bit? Does it remind you of the Bat at all? I mean, I know it's a
So,
different coaster type, but the just how you kind of look out into this pit and you've got the coaster going right there.
are you talking about the swinging one?
Yeah.
Is that the one you're talking? Oh, okay. I do not remember it being called that. Uh, I know it by two other different names. So,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, I do. Now that you mention that, yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that.
It's just kind of a cool way to kind of visually see kind of the what the coaster's doing. And we'll check out at nighttime when we get closer. That just wasn't really lit up right there. So let's see. I like this little tunnel too, with the kind of castle walls,
Mm-hmm.
with the haunted house wooden walls behind it. Man, this park's just so well done. You know, there are a couple areas here and there that could get a little bit more detailing, but just at some point when you're
Overall,
oh yeah, well when we have the limitations too, you kind of get to a point near the end where it's like, okay, something can't be quite as detailed as I was wanting it to be, unless if it's planned out perfectly from the
mm-hmm.
beginning. Which I need to start doing this. I love having the rows up there, along with the little lights that are shining down. I think that's a wonderful touch.
Mm.
So this is
Yeah,
called.
this station is another really good one.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
So
love
once
the
again,
detail and the beams. Sorry.
no, you're good. I love them too. I was just checking out the stats for everybody real quick. Yeah, using those haunted house wooden beams, and then having.
Are there?
Sorry, what'd you say?
Sorry, are those spiders up in the rafters, or am I seeing things?
No, those are
No,
lights.
I'm seeing stuff. I
I mean,
think
it looked like
no,
it could have been
it was the
spiders.
rope was reflecting. Yeah, the rope was like reflecting red, so I thought it was like the red eyes.
Yeah, but then
I'm
look
just
at
seeing
this.
shit.
So they actually custom supported. It looks like they custom supported this coaster in the station here with these wooden beams going across, and then this going down. Like I don't see people doing that too often, and that looks awesome. Like
Hmm.
you are right. These
I
beams
really
are
like
just
that.
amazing. This is
And they
oops,
put
didn't.
those
Oh, hold on. Oh,
they put
there we
those
go.
hazard strips down there too.
Mm-hmm. I love doing that. It just makes it look so much better too. All right, so we just got off Phantom, and as you can kind of see the layout here, I think this is just from a design, just an amazing design for this coaster because it's really just kind of dug out in this kind of pit, right? And so it really
Hmm.
has a cool look to it, especially with that kind of bat wing right there. I think that's what it's called. What were your thoughts on this coaster and kind of the design of it and stuff?
Yeah, I really liked it. I like the path interactions with the lift hill going over,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you hit that first drop, like you see the guests. And I mean, I always think that's cool when I'm walking around a theme park and I can
Oh, for
look
sure.
up and see somebody like a coaster come down. And the layout's really good. I probably would have seconded my opinion on Avalanche and maybe added a little more rocks around
Mm-hmm.
the areas that they use the rock like terrain paint just to give it the extra oomph.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, again, it's not necessary. I think they did a really good job.
Yeah, I agree too. And I think one of the
And I think
coolest
those are
things.
custom.
Say that again.
Sorry, I think those are custom supports, aren't they?
No, that's part of the coaster.
That's part of the game. Ah, okay.
Let's see. Yeah, those are everything's part of the game supports. Like these are, I mean, these are pretty good supports though for in-game supports. Like they're not
Yeah.
overly done. I like this here, and I think that's because that's like one of the actual pieces. Like that's not custom done or anything, so it has this automatically pre-made support with it, which is looks pretty cool. Um,
Hmm.
and then I think too, like the station is the inside of the station. This is just from a design standpoint, like I mean, and if you're talking about how amazing this is too, I mean, it's got to be amazing because you make amazing stations with your interiors and stuff, and so this is really impressive. And I love the little
Yeah,
fact
this
of the
is really
gate being
good.
open, the bag check.
Hmm.
Um, you come out of the exit and you walk right into this shop. I mean, that's just really well done.
With the little witch hats too. It's so
Yeah,
I I really like this one. This is probably my one of my favorites in here. Even
yeah.
that beam there on that sign with the
See right here. What are
different
we talking about?
colored to the left, you keep passing it.
Oh, I keep passing. Hold on. Let me see.
Yeah, turn around
Right here.
right there. Yeah, I like because those are. I'm pretty sure those are all individual wood pieces,
Yep. Wooden planks. Yeah, you're
and I
correct.
think that just looks so cool.
Yeah, I didn't even because it almost looks like it's an actual wall that's been kind of ruined, right? But it's just you got the haunted house,
Hmm.
large pillars, then you got the wooden planks. Yeah, I mean that's a. See, this is why I have somebody else on the tour with me because picking up on the little things that I miss. But once again, these flat rides, I mean, just really well done. And let's see, I think
Hmm.
that we can go this way. I love the foliage. I do kind of like how, um, maybe varying up the types of trees here because you could do like sycamore trees, you could do
Hmm.
different stuff. But I do kind of like how it's kind of overgrown, right? Um, so it kind of creates
Yeah.
this blockage to kind of hide from what's over there. But then this way, like all the trees and coverage and stuff. Oh, there's the lift hill you're talking about. Yeah. So when it goes down the hill, like that's a great view. I just imagine if you're a guest
Yeah, I would
looking up
just
at
sit
that.
there.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
And
If
now
there's
this
a
could.
bench right there, I'd be sitting there.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Just
think
for, yeah.
like when I went to Kings Island, I think it's because I rode in Vertigo and Banshee like really quickly back to back. I had to take a break after that for just a second because for some reason inverted coasters kind of get to me more than other coasters. But I just sat on a bench and just watched Banshee go down that lift hill for about 5-10 minutes, and it was pretty awesome. Um,
Hmm.
the only thing I kind of add here, now this could be a limit issue too, is adding in some of that chain link fencing or custom fencing here to kind of block off because with how low this goes to the ground,
Yeah.
it'd be very tempting for a guest to be like, "Hey, I can beat this coaster and just try to run across or something, right?" Some stupid kid trying
Yeah.
to, yeah. Then we're here at the kids area. I guess this is probably the exit. Yeah, let's see. Um, Yeah, so we'll just take a ride on this kids coaster real quick, and the queue kind of goes beside that little pond. So when you make these coasters, do you like using the longer trains or shorter trains?
Oh, I think I usually do like 9.
Yeah,
I don't do the freaking like 15 or 14 it comes with. Like that's insane. But like I don't know. I try to get like an even number,
yeah,
and I don't know. I haven't used the short ones very often, but I don't really make a lot of these. I don't like making because I mean they're kiddie coasters. I mean they're not supposed to be intense or crazy, and I pretty tend to much. Ugh, I
yeah,
tend to make my coasters a little a little intense. So like my kitty coasters aren't kitty coasters. They're kind of kitty coasters.
Yeah, I gotcha. But it's like I was about to say, I was like, I hope we go through that twice because it's such a short layout, and they did. So that's nice little kids coaster. You know,
Mm-hmm.
nothing to it. But I agree with you. I like doing shorter trains because they give you like 16, and I'm like, that's just weird because with how they do their hills, it's like you could be going down one hill, and then the back of the train is going to be going down two little bunny hills previous. It's just so strange how the kind of design of it.
And with right, like with the lift hills, like if you have that many, like you're not the front of the train's gonna be halfway down your hill before like it actually goes.
Picks up
And it's
speed,
I
yeah.
just yeah, I did like how on that second lap that we took on the kiddie coaster,
Mm-hmm.
on that final turn, the the coaster next to it like went right by as well, like the RMC.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you caught that, but it like they both swooped around that corner. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like the foliage work in this park. I think, it could have been varied up a little bit more at some points, but I think overall it's very looks very nice, like using those big sycamore trees. So it's kind of like blocking off the coaster a little bit. Steamboat. This is a cool station. Um, I like this station a lot for the steamboat. Because I guess it just takes you
Mm,
around the little lake. Um, but yeah, this is a cool
I do
station
like that.
using the in-game pieces, but then added in the extra detail of, is that fencing right there? Oh, that's a Victorian decorative piece, but then you've got the beams here, or those posts, whatever those are, and yeah, so I think it's well done, and we'll
Yeah,
skip
I
a
like
ride on
that.
that, just because it just kind of goes
I think
around what
if
we've seen.
yeah, because it's so like it's just like a circle. I probably would have maybe put a few lilies or maybe even like
Oh yeah,
a small like water feature in there maybe.
mm-hmm. Or you
I
could
don't
even
know.
make like a little island or something with some rocks and trees and stuff. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I agree. That makes a lot of
You said
sense.
this is a PS4 park, right?
Yeah, so I guess they do actually have some extra percentage because 62% on PS4 or on PS5 would equate to about like 96-ish, 97% on a PS5, I think. Um, but I do like how like I'm terrible with theming, but I like how this creator like it's a pretty generic park in terms of like it's not overly themed, but there are defined themed areas. Like you had I mean that's just like
Hmm.
an avalanche ride, but then over here you got the whole area that's kind of more spooky based. Um, and then here now for the RMC, this is clearly adventure themed, and it's doing a pretty good
Hmm.
job with it. Like I love the look here of the coaster kind of coming out of the station and going up that lift hill. Like that
I
looks
do
awesome.
like that. Yeah.
So it's called Revenge. Yeah, I'm trying to get better with theming. So that's one thing on my new park I'm gonna try to really force myself to do is instead of building too many. Oh, that's not even the coaster. That's that's that flat ride. I guess this is the coaster over here, the Beast. Beast Unchained.
Ah,
Okay,
there we go.
that makes more sense. Because now I do like how it's
I
like a
like
massive
that.
entrance area. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Hmm. It kind of reminds me of.
Yeah,
I mean, oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say with like the theming, or when you do your theming, like it's hard to do like a really good detailed theming and have a huge park. So it's
Yeah.
like you have to kind of compromise and make like a smaller size park, but you can detail it a lot.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna try to do is have 5 coasters, maybe a kiddie coaster too. And since I'm doing the exploit, I'll get extra percentage. A 6 coaster if there's enough space, but I really just want to work on like I want to have like a either like a dark ride or water ride too, and just kind of work on the theming of it. Um, but I like this
Hmm.
station too. What are
Yeah,
your
another
thoughts here?
really good station.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. I love that little shack. That's so clever. Like,
Oh, I know it's
uh,
fantastic.
definitely gonna take inspiration or a few of these ideas.
Hmm.
The creator did a really good job.
for sure. So G-forces are a little bit higher on this one for the vertical G-forces. I wonder why the stats have it so low in terms of excitement. But we'll see, because it looks like it's a pretty good layout for an RMC. Which, I just noticed this for the brake run.
Transfer track.
That's cool,
Oh.
and then the transfer track station. Oh, look at that. Oh yeah. I mean, I would put a little bit more detail in here, but love the love the fact that there's a transfer track and that there's a garage for it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's really cool. So, TJ, what are your thoughts on that coaster?
I really liked it. I really liked it. It's really smooth. I think it's probably one of the smoother ones of the
Oh yeah,
park.
super
But
smooth. Yeah,
but I love the layout. I
yeah,
think the only like that little stall there at the top. I think, but that's really nothing. But I like it. It's really
yeah,
great.
yeah. I think it's fantastic. Now there are two ways that um, so if the creator's watching this, two ways that you can eliminate that stall. The first one would be slow the lift hill down from 6 to 2 meters per second. Um, I usually have my lift hills really slow just because in real life, like, unless if it's really an Intamin coaster or the new B&M like Gigas, like they really don't go up the lift hill too fast. Like they kind of go really slow. And so the issue is it's waiting there for the coaster to get to the block section right here and pass through it. So slowing it down and having it take 3 times as long to go up the lift hill will give it that opportunity. Or just run 2 coasters instead of 3, and then that would eliminate the problem altogether. Um, so those would be my two
I
pieces
think
of
you can
advice.
also I think you can also change the intervals on like when a car leaves the station
Yep,
as
you can change.
well.
Yeah, you can change it to waiting a minimum of 10 seconds, and I don't know if that will give it long enough for it to not stop up there, but that would at least allow it to let me see. So if you go to advanced settings here, you can state minimum departure time, and you can turn that up to 10. So, like, if we apply that, um, okay. So let's see if that works now. Let's just kind of test it out and see if it changes anything.
I say even change into 2 tray probably
Yeah.
fix it.
Although that
Like
that might have worked right there. Yep. So even just having it take it a little bit longer, they just wait just a little bit longer to enter the train. And so there we go. So that worked. I've totally forgot about being able to do that. So good job, TJ. We helped him
yeah,
out to be able to how to correct the waiting at the top of the hill problem. Um,
yeah, because like the stalling can cause like the excitement to go down, and I don't like going super realistic on my lift hills, so I never really put my lift hills at 2 miles per hour.
right.
That could also lower your excitement, but everybody plays the game differently, so that's fine. Um, Overall, like I think it's still like overall the coaster is really phenomenal. So
Yeah, agree. And so you can see how it's changed the
the
excitement
lift,
just a little bit just by doing that. But yeah, what were you saying?
no, I'm good.
Oh, okay. I love the look right here. It kind of, I know I reference this park a lot, and it's a different coaster, but just with the name of it, it just kind of gives me like on the Beast at Kings Island. It's got that kind of entryway where it's like a dead end where there's only the coaster there and nothing else,
Mm-hmm.
and you can kind of see the lift hill as you're kind of walking up the queue and stuff. And now
Right.
to what's probably your favorite in the park, right? Or might be your favorite. So the
Yeah. I mean, I think I really like the color scheme of this.
yeah, it looks awesome. And then you see just the cool kind of little. I mean, it's not much, but just the cool little architectural design for the sign there is just just adds that
Mm-hmm.
extra touch to the park, you know. But I agree, this teal color is awesome. Oh, and look at that. They made a circle.
This custom fountain is so cool, using all those different pieces.
Oh, wow. Wow, that is cool. So that's just the pirate base. And then, oh, well, that is a cool touch for sure.
Mm-hmm. And they have the little milk. I think they have vending machines over there. It's very
Yeah.
like futuristic, I think.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, once again, it's like the park's kind of sectioned off into four spaces. Like that first area to the right almost had like a, it's not necessarily like a tour around the world, but it kind of had that Professor Bratwurst ride. You kind of had the more French looking um, restaurant area right there. You had the avalanche coaster, so it's more kind of geared around like maybe a few places around the world. And then we had the Phantom area, then the adventure area, and now this kind of futuristic spot, which is cool. And then even this one's kind of designed to that futuristic look. But there we go. I just had to look for the entrance sign. Yeah, this is man, this is cool right here on the launch. Wow, that is a
Mm-hmm.
cool detail. And then the lights. Let's take a look at that. Wow, that is really really well done.
And I like that the queue by the launch. Like the
Mhm.
inside here is super cool.
Yeah, really cool touch. And then let's see. And once I mean I like the station too. Like it's not anything overly complex, you know, just using these light scaffolding pieces and then the roof molding and these basic roof pieces that are given to you, but it's like I mean, look at the lighting. This is crazy. This is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm
It's very
guessing
modern, like sci-fi to me.
and then we got a transfer track. Yep. Love it, love it. All right,
Mm.
TJ. So, what are your thoughts about this coaster?
This is my favorite coaster. Period. I love the color. I love the layout. I'm pretty sure it seemed to be all custom inversions, which is
Mm-hmm.
really cool. Uh, just maybe a slight smoothing on that first one, but other than that,
Yeah.
like everything else is perfect. Like I don't really have any criticisms for
Yeah, for
this one.
sure. Yeah, and when we talk about, because we've talked about this on multiple rides, just a little bit of smoothing or something like smoothing something that's tough to do and tough to perfect. Like, I mean, we're all still, I think, working on perfecting it, right? Like, it's, you know, some rides I make, I'm like, oh, this is great. Some rides I'm like, hey, I need to smooth this out more. But it's about finding a way that kind of works for you, that's successful in kind of any situation with any coaster you're doing. Like, I choose to use three pieces at a time and kind of go back and forth twice and kind of see how that is. But it kind of gets tricky too when you have
Mm-hmm.
custom inversions sometimes because you want to keep the correct shaping of it, right? Like with these, in theory, this wouldn't it would have a little bit more of a snappy kind of turn into that loop. But when you smooth it out a lot, it kind of exaggerates the turn, if that makes sense. And so it's kind of tough to, and I'm still learning at that, trying to kind of keep the shaping of certain inversions that are custom and stuff. But this one was awesome right here too. And
That one, yeah. The
I don't
flow
know.
of this was just like it was so good. Like I like a good flowing coaster because some like they'll do like a left turn and then do another left twist and another left turn, and I'm like kind of like switch it up, do a left turn, right twist,
Yeah.
and then this one does that really well. And
Mm-hmm.
to give a little advice on smoothing, I do know that when you do try to smooth custom inversions, it can screw up the shaping. And I got this trick from a PC user. Like I've seen if you don't hit smooth all, it's smooth banking or smooth
Hmm.
banking turn. It still it doesn't smooth it as much as smooth all, but like it still smooths it a little, like enough to where it looks better and it doesn't screw up the shaping.
Okay, that's a cool. I'll have to give that a try. Is that there are certain ones like these when you kind of do these like sidewinders or Immelmans, like I know it's not Immelman, but whatever it's called, that this type of loop, those are really tough to smooth out correctly. Like these are these are easier, right? These kind of zero G rolls.
Hmm.
But one thing too that I do is I want to know if you've done this before. Is one thing if I'm trying to see how smooth it is I'll kind of get my camera kind of where the inversion is, and I look to see, do the guests kind of rattle side to side at all. And so here, like that had a little bit of a rattle right here. So like that seemed to me as maybe the one part that's not quite as smooth, but overall it seemed pretty good. And so that's kind of what I'll do is I'll kind of check where the inversion is and see like how did the guest move going through that inversion, right? Because if it's smooth, it's going to kind of look steady and smooth throughout. And so as you see here, like that's pretty, like that's a really smooth inversion. Do you get what I'm saying? Um, and so you can kind of see how the guests kind of move through that inversion and would it be uncomfortable or smooth?
Hmm. I've never looked at it that way, but I mean that's a good trick to see how
Yeah.
smooth it is.
Yeah, now we're back here at the entrance. So what are your kind of overall kind of thoughts of this park? As this is the first park that you've kind of toured with me that hasn't been the creation of your own and stuff, you know? So,
Yeah, I think the creator did an excellent job.
mm-hmm.
Just minor things could be tweaked or added, but overall, I think they did phenomenal. Like this is really cool. I really liked it. I spent a few hours looking at it the other day, and I rode the coaster several times, so I really enjoyed it overall.
Yeah, and to the creator, if you're watching this, I did give TJ a couple of parks I was looking at, and he really liked this one. Um, and so yeah, this is a um, yeah, really well done. I think for me, the little like you said, little minor things would be like doing something with borders around the paths and stuff. Because there's just a lot of areas in the park that are kind of like that, and it's not a major thing, but to me, it just kind of makes it look more clean. But I just love just the kind of theming around the flat rides. Like the theming's not crazy, but it's just kind of general theming and looks real nice. And then the design of the coasters and um, like this
Hmm.
to me is one of the coolest entrances I've seen for a coaster because it just really separates itself, right? Like you got the lift hill right there. It's called the Beast or Beast Unchained, and you get to watch it kind of go up that hill. So that's like a really cool touch. And of course, I love the realism. So I love the transfer tracks. I think my favorite transfer track was probably this one. So I like how you kind of got it. There's like a huge, even though you didn't really decorate the inside, which is fine. It gives the illusion that there's a massive kind of room in there for the employees to work, and you've got this little covering here, which is a cool touch. And then all the other realism things too are really a really nice touch. And so I know this was your favorite coaster. Was this also your favorite themed area, or did you have another area that you liked the most?
I really liked that one, but I also really liked the spooky area.
Yeah, agreed.
Um, really like all of the
Ooh,
stations were really well done. Like all the coasters, aside from minor smoothing issues, like were really well done.
I
And
totally agree.
I probably would have just personally added a few more foliage, like rocks in areas, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not anything to get upset. I mean,
Caught up
nobody
on,
really is
yeah.
going to notice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like that's some of the stuff that you're really super detailed on. So it's like you only really notice that
Hmm.
because that's part of what you focus on. And how did I miss this backstage area?
Yeah.
This is awesome. Yeah. Now, one thing I would say too, and I don't know if the creator knew about this or not, but you can create your own if you do a custom scenario or not custom scenario, but custom biome. You can choose the biome you want and then choose the terrain paints you want. Just because I would have used the tarmac terrain paint here instead of using up all this pathing, and plus you would have less areas
Uh,
where you kind of see the kind of the grass coming through and stuff. And
we'll see that
yeah.
is that then that might be passing. Well, see that just makes it all even more impressive because he's not even
Mm-hmm.
hit, or they haven't even hit the PS4 limit.
Yeah, agreed.
And if you took up some of these pathing, you could probably get an extra like I don't know how much pathing is there, but like 2 to 3, maybe 5 more %.
And while we're doing this, I'm gonna put you on the spot for a second. Which coaster do you think was my favorite?
I'm gonna say the RMC.
Oh yeah. If it's an RMC or B&M Hyper, usually those are my favorites. Um, but yeah, I mean the coloring on that RMC is awesome and just it's really well lit up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not overly lit up either. Like you can I don't think there are any areas that we saw where it was like, okay, those lights are too bright, you know? It was just right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing's oversaturated or anything.
Mm-hmm. So I have that issue sometimes trying to light stuff up and then I end up lighting it up too much. Um, lights are the one of the things for me, along with like placing like benches and stuff. Where I'm just like I don't really want to do that, but it's a necessity.
Yeah,
So yeah,
those benches and trash cans are part of the realism you like.
I know. You're right. But no, yeah, this is a beautiful park, and I mean it took up a good footprint too because this is the largest map, and I like how you
Mm-hmm.
kind of put in the trees on the outside so that when you're actually down in the park, you're not seeing to the nothingness that's beyond the actual park. So that's a really,
Mm-hmm.
really cool touch. So any final thoughts?
Yeah, again, like all the sight lines are amazing. Like I have too many good things to say. Like I can't say it all. So I mean, overall, it's phenomenal. I loved it. Top notch.
Yeah,
Great job.
yeah, and I mean, you do such a good job. What are they all? What's going on with them? Are they
Oh, I
just?
think you deleted the path and now they can't
Oh,
leave.
oh, that's right. Okay, I was going to say they're having a dance party or something. No, yeah, and I mean, and one thing too, I've complimented you on is like you're so detailed with your builds too. So for you to have all this great comments to say like really means they're doing an excellent job too. So if anybody hasn't, make sure to check out Hollow Peaks, which was your collab park with Tommy P, and you just recently released another collab park. How do you pronounce it again? Because I totally mispronounce it.
Hero Academy.
Okay, I'm not even gonna
So you could
try to
just say
say that.
Hero
So
Academy, really.
okay, yeah, and it's with Mouse Fan 4, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really really well done.
Yeah.
But yeah, make sure to go
Yeah.
check those
Which we
out.
did not use the hack.
Yeah, they did a great job. It is on the PS5, both those are. So if you have a PS4, sorry, just look out for the review on that. I also did a review with TJ and Tommy for Hollow Peaks Part 1 and Part 2. So it's such a massive park, we couldn't fit it into one spotlight. So make sure and check those out. And TJ, once again, thank you for joining me on this. We'll have to do another one of these sometime.
For sure. Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. Have a great rest of your day.